Okay, we've got a few introductions, so we'll get started. So welcome to the Helix webinar series. Today's session is on building an integrated BMC Helix stack. On-prem, ITOM meets Innovation Suite. Joining me today and presenting is John Gallagher, who works in our solutions engineering team, and joining him is his team in the panelists that will be answering your questions during the session. We have actually recorded the demo, so we can actually answer your questions, and then we should have roughly around 20 or so minutes at the end where we can answer some of your questions live. So if you do have any questions during the session, please put them into the Q&A. We have a small team that will answer those. So John, before I get the video started, do you want to do your introduction?
Yeah, thanks, Sam. I'm John Gallagher from BMC's Helix Global Solution Engineering team. I've been with BMC for about 15 years, and for the last 5, I focused mainly on helping customers transition ITOM and Innovation Suite to containerized infrastructure. I'm joined by the respective product experts in each area, and together we'll be answering your questions live and in the Zoom chat and during the follow-up Q&A. As Sam said earlier, to keep things smooth and on time, the session's actually pre-recorded, but feel free to post your questions as we go. And with that, let's back up to you, Sam. Get us started.
So let me give you a quick overview of what we'll be covering in this session. Then I'll introduce the concept of service operations, and I'll walk you through a couple of examples that will show the benefits of the integration in action. Then we'll move on to the architecture, and we'll look at the core and shared components. And I'll give you a high-level overview of how BMC ITOM and Innovation Suite work together on the same platform. Finally, we'll talk about the deployment, covering the requirements, sizing and scalability, and the different deployment options that are available. So whether you're installing ITOM on its own or alongside Innovation Suite. So hopefully by the end of the session, you'll have a clearer picture of how to deploy Helix on-prem, combining ITOM and Innovation Suite into a single unified platform. So before we get into the examples, let's take a step back and ask, why bring IT operations and Innovation Suite together at all? The answer is simple. Modern IT issues never stay in one part of the stack. So what starts out as an infrastructure glitch might ripple up through the application layer and end up as a ticket on the service desk. So all these problems cross boundaries, and if your teams and tools are siloed, they're really only seeing one part of the picture, and that slows everything down. When we bring ITOM and Innovation Suite into the same platform, we're creating a shared experience. Service and operations teams are seeing the same data, working in the same context, and respond together, all in real time with full visibility, which leads to faster resolution, better decisions, and obviously fewer gaps in the overall process. So let's take a look at what the integration means and looks like in practice. So it's not just about connecting the tools, it's about enabling that seamless workflow where service and operations teams act together in real time. And this is really what we call service operations, or service ops for short. It's that unified approach where AI ops, ITSM, CMDB potentially, and automation all work in sync, sharing data, context, and actions across the full life cycle of an issue. So let's walk through an example here. We see Helix AI Ops detecting the problem, and in this case, it's an unresponsive EC2 instance. But instead of spamming you with isolated alerts, it correlates the information from multiple sources to build up a full picture. We see an AWS instance failing on port 8080, Splunk logs show connection refusal and timeout errors, Dynatrace flags application slowness, and F5 reports that the load balancers drop in connections, all because it can't reach the backend. So what we're seeing here is impact across infrastructure, application, network layers. And Helix is pulling all of that into a single unified view. So here's where the real power of the Integration Innovation Suite comes into play. Helix ITOM automatically creates the instance. Then the affected CI is linked through the CMDB. And then we have automation, which is ready to reset the instance, the EC2 instance. There's no manual steps apart from running the automation. It's a coordinated, real-time response with complete visibility. Fewer delays, and there's no need to switch between tools. Now that we have Helix GPT from 25.3 embedded into the platform for AI ops, we take it even further. Generative AI helps teams really understand complex issues, summarize instance, and recommend next steps, all by simply asking in plain language. So here's a closer view of how Helix enables intelligent automation as part of an integrated response to critical events. You can see that the event's automatically evaluated and it's assigned a P1 severity incident. And in this case, an automation policy can be run to reset that problematic EC2 instance. This has really streamlined the whole resolution dramatically. It's reducing response time, minimizing any potential human error, and obviously ensuring that the service really gets restored as quickly as possible. Here's another example. So in this case, we have Helix ITOM detecting the outage. And when we look at the timeline, you can see that the change request was implemented just before the issue started. So it's that correlation that helps us quickly identify the root cause. And because we have both ITOM Innovation Suite fully connected, we can drill down straight into the change request for the full context. There's no need to switch between tools or dig through logs or any of that stuff. We have two-way visibility, meaning teams can move faster, troubleshoot smarter, and resolve incidents with confidence. So now that we've seen the value of integrating ITOM with Innovation Suite, let's take a closer look at the architecture behind it. So in the next few slides, I'm going to walk you through the components of common services and the data tiers, which together are known as platform common services. First off, in the common services tier, we have the Helix portal, which is a central landing page that lets users navigate across Helix applications. Next, we have Helix dashboards, which is used for reporting. Helix and single sign-on, which simplifies the authentication across the suite. And IMS, which manages role and data access. Finally, we have TMS, which is used for multi-tenancy and tenant onboarding. Moving on to the common data tier, also known as the data lake. We use Victoria metrics here for our time series metrics. Kafka Zookeepers used for message brokering and coordination. Postgres is our structured relational database, which stores core platform and product data. MinIO serves as the platform's object storage for backup. Redis is our fast in-memory data store used for caching. And finally, Elasticsearch, which is used for log, events, and FTS search data on the Innovation Suite side. So let's discuss the optional logging tier for a moment. Starting from ITOM 25.1, we now have the option to integrate Helix ITOM or Helix Platform Common Services for Innovation Suite with an external logging system. In this case, at least for the moment, it's Splunk. Alternatively, you can also use our out-of-the-box EFK stack, as shown here, but you just need to be careful to follow the instructions in our documentation to deploy separately. So now that we've covered what Helix Platform Common Services is, we're going to take a closer look at the architecture behind it. So in the next few slides, I'm going to walk you through all of that. So what you're seeing here is how we structure and deploy the solution across two namespaces. In namespace 1, we have the ITOM application tier, which includes various capabilities you can see here, such as operations management, log analytics, etc. All of these components are built on top of the platform common services, which is in the same namespace. Alongside that, we have our optional Helix logging component in namespace 2. All the ITOM applications, along with platform common services, are deployed using the deployment manager. And the deployment manager script pulls containers from a local hardware repository, which would have been synced from our BMC DTR. Finally, we integrate ITOM with BMC Discovery, and we use the intelligent integrations gateway to ingest events, metrics, and topology from third-party tools. All of our applications are accessed through the load balancer, which uses Ingress Nginx to route traffic to the relevant application in Kubernetes. The cluster must have access to storage, which is exposed to Kubernetes as persistent volumes, which are dynamically provisioned during the installation. So now that we've covered ITOM, let's shift focus to Innovation Suite now, which, as you'll notice, shares many of the same components as ITOM. So over on the top left, we have the Jenkins deployment engine, which we'll use to deploy Innovation Suite. And this component is typically installed on the same server as the deployment manager. So in namespace one this time, we have the service management application tier at the top. And this includes, again, all the key modules of Innovation Suite. Just below that, we have the Innovation Suite platform tier, where we have AR System and Innovation Studio. All of the application for this data is stored in the Helix Innovation Suite database shown to the right here. And you'll notice that namespace 2 mirrors what we saw earlier in the ITOM architecture. And that's because both suites are built on a shared platform of common services. So the structure is really consistent here. And so, as with ITOM, we also use an external load balancer to access our applications through Ingress in Kubernetes. And on the Innovation Suite side, we require high-performance block storage. So now that we've seen both architectures individually, this slide brings it all together. It shows how Helix Innovation Suite and ITOM can run side by side on the same Kubernetes platform. And this really gives us the best of both worlds. We have a clean separation across namespaces, and we have resource efficiency and operational consistency through shared services. Before we get into the details of the architecture, let's cover 3 important areas that set the stage. First of all, system requirements, which include all of the prerequisites, sizing and scalability to ensure that you allocate the right resources based on your environment, whether it's a POC right up to a large production-sized cluster. Then we have our deployment options. So depending on whether you're installing ITOM on its own or together with Innovation Suite. So this may seem obvious, but it's worth emphasizing. Before you start any deployment, it's absolutely essential that you review the system requirements for the specific version that you're installing. This really ensures that your environment is properly prepared and it avoids delays or unexpected issues during the installation itself. So please pay close attention here, especially around the resource requirements, security certificates, the compatible versions, obviously, and also pay close attention to our load balancer requirements. Also keep in mind that for ITOM, an external running instance of Discovery is a prerequisite. So that's got to be in place before proceeding. We actually also provide a product health check tool as part of the deployment manager, which you can use to validate your environment once all of these requirements are in place. Most of the installation issues that we see are generally related to infrastructure, so I'd highly recommend creating a planning worksheet and delegating the various tasks to the appropriate teams. And there's actually a sample worksheet available in the planning section of the docs to help you get started. When you're planning an ITOM deployment, you need to start by selecting the right sizing profile from the docs, and then follow the recommendations for that profile. So that includes the hardware requirements, the minimum number of worker nodes, and the disk space. If you're working in a multi-tenant environment, please log a case with BMC support for tailored sizing guidance. Just like ITOM, for Innovation Suite, the sizing recommendations are organized by deployment size, and they're documented for the version that you're deploying. Just keep in mind that for additional components will obviously require extra resources, which are also mentioned here. Please note, just want to point out that we're continuously reviewing sizing, and we may offer more tailored recommendations in a future release. If you plan on installing both Innovation Suite and ITOM in the same cluster, please log a case with BMC support, and someone will be in touch. So, as I mentioned earlier, we use the deployment script along with 3 key configuration files: the deployment.config, the infra.config, and the secrets.txt. On the left, you can see the deployment.config file where we define our deployment size and we select the components to install. On the right is the secrets.txt file, which is used to manage and encrypt passwords, including the one that's required by BMC Discovery during the installation. I've also included a snippet of the infra.config highlighting the storage class configuration. And it's important to point out here that read-write-many storage is required for Helix capacity optimization and discovery, while all of the other components rely on high-performance block storage, such as Ceph. The infra.config also specifies infrastructure level settings, including the container, registry, and tenant data. The load balancer endpoints for the Helix portal and discovery are actually derived from some of the values that are defined here. So it's important that DNS is mapped in advance of the installation. Okay, so let's walk through the deployment and the various combinations. So depending on what you're depending on what you want to do. So for example, if you have a customer who begins with, on the left here, with an ITOM only deployment, in their deployment.config, we can see that they've selected yes for components like infrastructure services, dashboards, AIOps, monitor, intelligent automation, and auto anomaly. Once that's set, they trigger the deployment using the deployment manager script. Later, they decide to add log analytics and capacity optimization. And to do this, they actually go back into the configuration file and switch the previously deployed components to no to avoid reinstalling them. And then they simply set yes to the new components. Then they kick off the installer again, and it deploys only the new additions. A bit further down the line, they update the configuration again, setting AR services and ITSM insights to no, and setting AR services and ITSM insights to yes, and all other entries to no. They run the installer again, and then they follow the documented steps to deploy Innovation Suite using Jenkins to build on to the existing ITOM foundation. So now looking at the last example in the second block. This is where the customer starts with Helix Platform Common Services and Innovation Suite. So they enable ITSM Insight services and AR services. Later on, they decide that they want to add ITOM. And so it's the same process. They update the configuration, rerun the installer, and the new services are layered in. Just one important note to wrap up. If you're adding ITOM to an existing Innovation Suite environment, you'll need to resize the application components first. And then you need to resize your Kubernetes first, and then you need to resize the application components. I'll include links at the end of the presentation to show you and guide you how to do that. But as I said earlier, if it's a combined installation, you're going to need to log a case with BMC support, and they'll be in touch with guidance. So this final slide really brings everything together. It shows how Helix ITSM and ITOM can run side by side on a shared platform, all unified by the Helix portal. Not only does it reduce complexity across the environment, but it also lays a solid foundation for growth and innovation. So that pretty much wraps up the main part of the session. So now I'll summarize what we've covered today. Hey, Sam.
I had
You
the
can
feeling
move on to next.
Yes, I had a feeling it might have
Thanks for
finished,
that.
but I didn't want to touch it just in case. Thanks, John. For
Yeah,
some
no
reason,
problem.
the headphones aren't playing when things are finished, so bear with me. Okay, you seeing the next screen? Showing
Yes,
this
I
one?
can see it now. Yeah. Thank you, Sam.
Okay, back to you.
All right, cool. So just to quickly do a summary, we kicked things off by asking why it makes sense to bring IT operations and innovation suite together. And we talked about the concept of service operations. So the main takeaway there is that IT problems rarely stay in one place. More often than not, they cut across the whole IT landscape. So having just a single platform where everyone can work together just makes sense. Then we walked through some real world examples showing what it looks like in action. So from detecting a problem with AI ops to logging an instance in ITSM to triggering automation, everything connected with full context and no tool switching. After that, we looked at the architecture, and I walked you through how the core and shared components come together to support both ITOM and Innovation Suite. And the goal there was simply to give you a high-level overview of how everything fits and runs on the same platform. Next, we talked about the deployment itself, so what's required, how it scales, and the different ways you can roll it out. So whether you're setting up ITOM on its own or ideally alongside Innovation Suite. And to wrap up, we looked at how built-in intelligence with Helix GPT adds even more value, giving teams the insights, the automation they need to act faster and more confidently across a unified platform. Next slide, please, Sam. The resources slide. Thanks. So as I mentioned earlier, you'll find links to the sizing guides for both ITOM and Innovation Suite, along with the knowledge article to help with the deployment planning and resizing. If you'd like more information on deploying Innovation Suite itself, I'd highly recommend checking out Mark Walter's webinars. They cover everything from the deployment and upgrades to running the Helix triage tool. So with that, Sam, I'm going to hand it back to you. Stop sharing the video.
Yeah, before we go into the Q&A as well, we will share those videos that Mark's created. Mark's on the panelists today. I'm also going to give the opportunity for people to speak with us live. I believe we've got a couple of questions in. I don't know who wants to take that first question while I start unmuting everyone. Do you want Mark,
Charles
Mark or
is
John?
speaking just like...
Charles, do you want to take the first question?
Sorry, I was typing it in there. Yeah, so with intelligent automation, you can set up the integration for ServiceNow for incident creation, and incidents would be shown. But for the change request shown on the timeline, note that I don't believe that the ServiceNow change request would show there. And but I understand there are coming up other agentic AI capabilities with ServiceNow coming. But yeah, specifically around the change request there, no, but yes to incidents.
Okay, do we have any other questions?
We have one more on the AI ops side around discovery, Charles, or Nilesh. So the question is, any documentation around how to configure AI ops platform and BMC discovery to ensure right RCA could be arrived at quickly?
I think we'd
If
need
there is,
more
we'll probably
details
have to
on.
dig around for it.
Yeah, I think we need
Sorry,
more
go ahead,
details on
Charles.
the specifics of the
Yeah.
question, because the data source for AOps is discovery. So when you're building models, when you're building blueprints, that data lake for AOps is discovery. You don't configure that. So as far as ensuring the right RCA here, need to know if there's some specific concern there, because it's just that's they're connected at the hip. They're you don't have AOps without discovery there.
So
it's the data lake.
Can I try one thing? Harshit, do you mean about the situation summary which gets generated along with the root cause analysis there? If you are talking in that direction, then the time when you close the incident, the data that you put in the root cause analysis, that will be fetched. And AIOps also has the pre-built model around that part. So most of the known problems, it will have the right root cause analysis pasted on the situation summary.
Yeah. Oh, and then plus two is on that point as well, is that to make sure that you have thorough monitoring set up, because the situations and the root cause are generated from the events that are formed within boundaries of the service models there. So ensure that you have the proper monitoring and thresholds set for what's being monitored for that service.
Yeah, okay. So let's assume we have a proper monitoring platform and all the events are propagating perfectly. Do we need to configure AIOps platform separately or does the configuration run around having the right thresholds only?
Having the right so the situations are generated around the events that are generated from the monitoring. So there's two things: is either having the correct threshold set so that events are occurring from your monitoring, so that those come in and are related to the nodes that are involved. There's also the auto anomaly capabilities, so that you can get anomaly events generated from when the metrics are going out of the baseline, basically, rather than having to set static thresholds.
Okay. Thanks, Charles.
Sure.
Excuse me, I just have one question.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. Actually, my question is about the innovation suite. I saw the meeting from the beginning. Unfortunately, I did not catch it earlier. My question is how I could utilize the AI ops with the innovation suite, because of what I can see, innovation suite, there is a lot of tools I can build and integrate it, let's say, for example. So what kind of a trigger that's going to trigger the innovation suite to work?
The quick answer would be the one from the intelligent automation. You can have defined the total workflows using all the features in the innovation suite. You can define all the workflows to execute your automated actions. And that has a better workflow monitoring and error handling, and you can make it as kind of your customized DevOps using the innovation suite's workflow.
Okay, that's good. So do you have any, let's say, for example, some use cases you can share it with us, at least 3 to 4?
Yeah, we can give the example, but that will need to share with you offline with the links and the data.
Yeah, yes, please. I would appreciate that one. If you want me to drop my email here, I can drop it, please.
Yeah, I'll let Samantha drive that to get the
I
email
have
ID.
I have all your email details. I've just made a note of that.
Okay, that's good.
Okay.
That's good. So, thank you.
Thank you for your question.
Hey, I have a question.
Mhm.
For example, let's say if I want to create a demo environment, is there a way we can access AWS or create an environment when within
I think
BMC? Is there a demo environment?
if you're a partner, I believe, guys, you should have access to a demo environment, right? Unless Charles.
There's methods for getting access to that certain partners can get access to SaaS demo environments.
Okay, yeah, fine.
How do we get access to it?
You'd have to go. I don't have the access method. There's different methods. Your account manager, the partner account manager would be able to help.
I think that'd be the easiest thing to do. Just reach out to your account manager.
Yeah, I mean, just to check, within BMC, we do not have any demo account where we can go ahead and log in into AWS and create an instance like a global account, or just to practice and launch and view.
There is the product demo environment that are managed by the other part of the solutions engineering team, but I don't know what they've got mock-ups in there, because I know I've done a couple of webinars with them, John and Mark and team, but I think they're very specific use cases. I can have a look into that, and I know that they're available. You can request them off of the main BMC site. I don't know where it's going to be hosted after the company does the full split, but I'm happy to take that question up. I don't know if we've got environments for everyone, but I do know, going back to the original question around can you get demo environments, it will come through the solutions engineering team via the account manager. So if you don't know your account managers, drop me an email. I think, is it Joe and Nilesh that was speaking? I can see you're both off of mute and your voice was going up and down, or is it just Nilesh that's asking that question?
I needed an answer to that.
Okay,
too.
Joe. Okay.
I work for a partner, so like.
Okay. I'll drop you a separate email just asking a bit of information, and I'm pretty confident I can find you someone that can answer your question. The team that's here, and including myself, we run and host webinars and boot camps, but normally when permission is asked for demos, they'll normally ask the use cases and make sure that they set the demo environments up to the state that you need them. Plus, we also have the regular product demos, which are normally ones where someone wants to have a look at how one of our product works, and it's very high level, but I don't think they're set up certainly for Innovation Suite. They are for more our core products. But again, I don't want to say something out of context until we check. I'll reach out to you separately, and if anyone else has the same request, let me know. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for your questions. Okay, do we have any other questions from anybody else? We've got plenty of time left.
I've noticed you're recording this thing, so you'll be sending me us the recording. I missed the first half of the meeting.
Yeah, so it's we've already pre-recorded it as well, just because we didn't want to go over time. There is a habit, there's a lot of information, so we condensed it down. The recording from the start to the finish will be there, plus we've got it as a video as well. So yes, we always send that out, and the slides as well.
Thanks.
No problem.
So Sam, following on possibly from conversation before the meeting, the question from Carl, that sounds like a suggestion or a topic for another webinar, as well as something I need to publish. So
sure.
There you go. Carl's just very kindly volunteered me for a follow-up webinar.
Okay.
Thanks, Mark.
Cheeky Carl.
Hey, you said you were going to do it.
You couldn't resist it.
I'm still waiting.
So I'll tell you something funny. Before we joined today, I told them that on our regular meetings, their management are really keen to see them doing more. So they've now been signed up for quite a few. They're going to love me. If it's not boot camps that you see these familiar faces, it will be webinars now. So Mark, we'll take that offline and we'll get that scheduled. We have a really busy schedule in August. There's obviously a lot of people on holiday. There's a lot of webinars coming up, and I'm doing four to five a week. We will look to schedule something in September. So If you're not already aware, there is a webinar page on communities. It does come out with a thank you email telling you where that is. As and when we get new webinars coming up, whether it's a product manager or it's someone from solutions engineering or Premier, all of the content is on one page. I don't categorize it from one product to another because there's a lot of overlap. If you keep an eye on there, you'll see the new sessions coming up. And plus, if you have joined any sessions, I normally send you out another mail via our tool just to tell you about a new one coming up. So you will get to hear about it. So Mark, you've been earmarked for September. Thanks to Carl.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have any other questions?